13. Tenten vs Tamari. Maybe no fight in the Chunin exams ended as quickly and got forgotten as easily as this one. In Naruto, the entire Tenten vs Tamari match is shown in just one single panel. Tenten lying completely still, knocked out cold on Tamari's giant fan, with weapons scattered everywhere like a steel hurricane had just ripped through. And honestly, that's the whole fight. No extra scenes needed because there's literally nothing more to see. The anime tried to patch things up by stretching the fight, but that only made it painfully dull. Tenten launches her entire arsenal into the air. Tamari calmly flicks her fan once, and it's over. No intense pacing, no clever tactics, no suspense whatsoever. Tenten made a strong first impression, but that impression faded fast. When all those tools were shut down by a single gust of wind, what remained of Tenten's performance felt like pure, unfiltered waste of ninja resources. Tamari didn't need to show off, didn't need a bunch of flashy moves. Just one weapon, her iconic 3-star fan. But every swing she made loudly declared, "I own this battlefield." And she absolutely did. Now, if you've made it this far, welcome to the amazing world of anime. This is the place for true fans like you, where we celebrate all the magic, action, and emotions anime brings to our lives. You've watched, you've felt the hype, you've been lost in these beautiful fantasy worlds, but, have you hit that subscribe button yet? Right now, almost 90% of you are watching without subscribing. Just imagine, if everyone hit sub, we could build one of the strongest anime communities out there. So go ahead, click that subscribe button right now so you won't miss any new episodes, deep dive breakdowns, or awesome anime content coming your way. Thank you so much. 12. Dosu vs Choji. From the very start, this fight already smelled like grilled meat, literally. Choji only stepped into the arena because Asuma promised him a barbecue feast afterward. And with motivation like that, let's be honest, we kind of knew the Akamichi kid wasn't going in with full battle spirit. But once Choji rolls, he definitely doesn't roll lightly. His move, Nikudan Sensha, turns him into a massive, spinning meatball tank, charging forward like a steamroller. No one could laugh at that kind of power. But, and this is important, that raw power is exactly what made him vulnerable. Dosu, from the Sound Village, didn't need big punches or flashy tricks. He had something way more dangerous, a calm brain and a sound-based weapon strapped to his arm. While Choji crashed into a wall to change direction, Dosu calmly waited and struck at the perfect second, just a gentle tap. And then the sound kicked in. Dosu's attack wasn't physical, it went deeper. It cut straight through Choji's body, right past all that muscle and defense, messing up his inner balance, his senses, his coordination. Choji collapsed. Just one smart move, perfectly timed, powered by a seriously unique ability. Yeah, Choji at this time was easy to read. 11. Kuro vs Msumi. Some fights don't need to be long or flashy to make you stop and think, oh, this guy's interesting. And Kuro vs Msumi was exactly that kind of fight. Msumi, the ultra-flexible ninja from Konoha, showed up like a living python. He twisted his body in ways that barely seemed human, slithering around his opponent like flowing water. And once he locked on, his grip was strong enough to snap bones with sheer physical strength. His fighting style was weird, intense, and honestly, not something you could easily counter with basic moves. But Kuro didn't do basic, and, well, no sand ninja ever fights in a normal way. With the signature puppet technique of the sand, Kuro didn't even need to throw a punch. He made Karasu pretend to be him. Msumi went all in, wrapping himself tightly around what he thought was Kuro. Then, crack. A loud snap echoed through the arena. Looked like the fight was over. But nope, that wasn't bone. That was wood. Kuro had just pulled off a beautifully sneaky win. While Msumi thought he had the upper hand, the real Kuro stayed hidden, quietly setting the stage. Then, when the time was just right, he made his move. Karasu struck back with a hidden blade, stabbing clean through Msumi and ending the fight in one swift, calculated finish. Simple fight? Yes. But this was the first real taste of what sand puppetry could do, and it hit hard. 10. Sakura vs Ino. People usually label this fight as just schoolgirl drama over some guy named Sasuke. But if you take a deeper look, this was actually one of the most psychologically intense battles in the whole Chunin exams. On the technical side, Ino Yamanaka brought out her clan's signature move, the mind transfer technique. But what made Ino shine wasn't the jutsu itself, it was how cleverly she used it. She cut her hair, not for some emotional show like Sakura thought, but as part of an actual strategy. She infused chakra into into her hair to paralyze her opponent, clearing the path for her main jutsu. Smart move. That one decision helped fix her jutsu's biggest weakness, leaving her body totally undefended while it was active. Sakura, on the other hand, had pretty much nothing but basic taijutsu in her arsenal. She's smart, sure, but at this stage, she didn't really have any standout powers until her secret weapon came out, Inner Sakura, the fierce version of herself living inside. When Ino took over Sakura's body with her jutsu, Inner Sakura punched Ino right out of her mental space. In the end, these two girls went from fighting over a cute guy to taking their first real step toward being true ninjas. But even with all that emotion and growth, let's be real, I still wouldn't rank this fight very high. Most of it was just them punching each other with the most basic taijutsu possible. Not wow enough to me. 9. Naruto versus Neji. You could say this was the fight where Naruto finally broke out of his loudmouth kid image and rose up like a real ninja, because this time he wasn't fighting some random opponent. He was up against Neji Hyuga, the Hyuga clan prodigy. Neji entered the arena like a perfect warrior. His Byakugan could see every chakra flow, and his gentle fist could strike 64 vital chakra points, shutting them down one by one and basically turning his enemy into a walking corpse. Add in Kaiten, his spinning all-around defense move, and Neji didn't even need to dodge. He just stood at the center, calm and untouchable, waiting for enemies to break themselves trying. Naruto was completely different. No inherited jutsu, no special clan techniques, no genius status. He stepped into the ring with a massive disadvantage. Couldn't touch Neji, couldn't break his defense, and even his shadow clones got blown away by Kaiten like dry leaves in the wind. It looked hopeless. Then, Ninetales chakra showed up, and sure, Neji blocking chakra points looked cool and all, but when your opponent has so much chakra that they can just blast it out and force open the closed points, suddenly that technique doesn't seem so invincible. That's the thing about this game. The one with more chakra is the boss. And then came the final blow. Neji thought he had everything under control, thought he was dealing with yet another clone, but Naruto, the real one, had dug underground and came flying up with a punch from below. One strike, smart, sneaky, and most importantly, so Naruto. Very creative. 8. Shikamaru versus Kin. If I had to pick a short but insanely cool fight, Shikamaru vs. Kin would be the perfect example of quiet but powerful. Kintsuchi from the Sound Village enters the arena with a unique style, senbon, with bells attached, using sound to disorient her opponent and create chaos. She's a tricky ninja. On the other hand, Shikamaru steps into the battle like he's being forced into it, but that's where his genius kicks in. Using the Nara clan's shadow possession technique, Shikamaru turns the battlefield into a massive chessboard. Every light, position, and moment meticulously calculated down to the last inch. At first, his shuriken throw seems simple, nothing special, but that's the key. It's the perfect trap. Kin thinks she's dodging, but in reality, she's moving exactly as Shikamaru planned, and just when she least expects it, with one flick of the shadows, she's forced to slam her head into a wall. It's pure style. Shikamaru controls the space, time, and every move of his opponent. 7. Sasuke vs. Yoroy. This is the first moment we really see the Uchiha genius in full force. At this point, Sasuke is carrying the ticking time bomb known as Orochimaru's curse mark. Because of this cursed seal, he can't use his Sharingan or ninjutsu. All he has left is taijutsu and his Uchiha pride. Meanwhile, Yoroy enters with a power that might sound simple at first, draining chakra just by touching. In ninja world, that's a deadly ability. This guy was already absorbing chakra before it became a common technique. The problem for Yoroy was that he relies too much on physical contact. If he can't touch you, he can't use his technique, and that's where Sasuke finds his opening. Then, the moment everyone was waiting for, Lion's Barrage, a taijutsu move inspired by Rock Lee, but modified to suit Sasuke's style. It hits out of nowhere. Just when Yoroy thinks he's controlling the fight, Sasuke overwhelms him with a flawless, rapid sequence of movements. 6. Naruto vs. Kiba. We've got Kiba, fast, aggressive, and fighting side by side with Akamaru. He's got insanely sharp smell, can sniff out enemies from miles away, and his fang over fang attack is powerful enough to drill straight through someone's defense like a living tornado. Kiba came in confident, and honestly, he had every right to be. But Naruto has never been the kind of ninja who follows the manual. His shadow clone jutsu doesn't just make pretty little illusions, it creates dozens of real, solid Narutos, all ready to throw punches. And that's without even dipping fully into the Nine Tails. Unreal. The highlight of this fight? Without a doubt, the punch your own dog moment. Naruto literally transformed into Akamaru, messed with Kiba's head just long enough, and made him accidentally land a full force attack on his own teammate. It was equal parts hilarious and straight up genius. And then came the fart bomb. Yeah, Naruto dropped a literal gas attack to stun Kiba, and it worked. Was it lucky? Was it smart? Honestly, it was both. Peak Naruto. 5. Shino vs. Zaku. If there's one fight that sends chills even without being long or flashy, it's Shino vs. Zaku. Not because of crazy action, but because of how it ended. Zaku blew up his own arms. That moment was absolutely brutal, and almost never repeated in Naruto. Zaku Abumi from the sound team used a technique called Zankuha. Sound wave blasts fired through air tubes inside his arms. He wasn't a weak ninja, not at all. He knew how to keep his distance, create pressure, and play mind games. Faking like he could only use one arm? Smart move. Until he ran into Shino. Shino Aburame, the quiet, unreadable ninja, didn't need loud moves or big speeches. His true power was the Kikaichu bugs living inside him. Tiny insects that feed on chakra, track opponents, and strike from places no one can see. But more dangerous than the bugs was Shino's mind. Calm, cold, and terrifyingly smart. Zaku thought he was controlling the match. He hid his second arm, waiting for the perfect moment to launch a surprise double blast. But what he didn't know was that Shino had already sent his insects crawling inside the air tubes, silently, precisely. And when Zaku finally launched his double attack, Shino was like, "So, you've chosen to lose your arms." With the tubes blocked from the inside, the pressure had nowhere to go. Boom! Both arms exploded. Fight over. Fast, ruthless, and chillingly badass. Shino didn't just win, he ended it. 4. Hinata vs. Neji. From the moment Hinata stepped into the arena, everyone knew she was going to lose. But the fact that she didn't fall right away, that she kept standing, round after brutal round, is exactly what made this fight hit harder than most. Neji, the undisputed genius of the Hyuga clan, came in like a cold executioner. Sharp, gentle fist strikes, flawless chakra control, and the terrifying 64 palms technique, every single hit like a shutdown command to the body. His movements weren't just skilled, they were surgically precise, almost mechanical in their perfection. Hinata, by comparison, looked completely outmatched. Her Byakugan wasn't impressive yet, her fighting technique was shaky, and her gentle fist lacked both power and accuracy. But what she did have was something Neji didn't, a relentless will to not be dismissed. Neji's blows were vicious. They hit her chakra points, attacked her organs, left her trembling and coughing blood, but she kept getting up, barely breathing, hands shaking, blood dripping from her lips, and still, her eyes never looked away. That quiet defiance, that refusal to quit, made the whole match feel heavier, darker. In the end, Neji lost control, and it took 4 Jonin to step in before he landed a potentially lethal blow. Hinata was on the edge of collapse, 1 second longer, and this match could have turned fatal. And maybe that's the saddest part. This fight showed us who Hinata really was, her strength, her courage, her heart. But after this, she rarely got the spotlight again. This was her moment, and it was both powerful and painful. 3. Shikamaru vs. Tamari. There are some battles people don't remember for flashy punches, but for how a character handled everything like a chess match inside their head. And Shikamaru vs. Tamari was exactly that, a full-on tactical symphony, ending with a yawn. Tamari, from the Sand Village, entered the arena like a real storm. With her iconic 3-star fan and Kamaitachi no Jutsu, she completely dominated long-range combat, sending out wind blades sharp enough to tear through the terrain. She was smart, confident, and had skills that clearly weren't to be underestimated. From a normal point of view, Tamari had every possible advantage. Then there's Shikamaru, who got literally thrown into the arena, grumbling that he just wanted to go home and take a nap. And that's exactly when viewers should start worrying. Because lazy people are dangerous, seriously. And no one asked, but I'm lazy too. Shikamaru pulled off a 3-step tactical combo that was downright brilliant. Step 1. He used the shadows cast by the arena wall, combined with the sunlight's angle, to expand the range of his Kagemane no Jutsu. Step 2. He threw his jacket, tied with a kunai, not to attack, but to create even more shadow. Step 3. He lured Temari into standing over a hole Naruto had made earlier, perfectly positioning her inside his shadow trap. And that moment when he finally caught her movement with Kagamen, after laying out the whole battlefield like a chessboard, he could have won easily. But instead, he yawned, shrugged, and forfeited. Just like that. Because let's face it, the real victory is winning in the hearts of the audience, and even better, winning in the heart of beauty. He went easy on her, and honestly, I bet his feelings for the Sand Village princess quietly started blooming right then and there. Second, Sasuke versus Gaara. What's more exciting than two insanely strong dudes throwing hands? On one side, Sasuke Uchiha, the untapped prodigy with more potential than he knows what to do with. On the other, Gaara of the Sand, literal murder energy wrapped in a gourd, walking out of the forest of death without a single speck of dust on him. These two didn't just bring power to the table, they brought style, trauma, and a whole lot of unresolved issues. Sasuke, after his hardcore training arc with Kakashi, didn't just unlock Chidori, a lightning-fast, armor-piercing death jab, but also leveled up his taijutsu to absurd levels. Combine that with the Sharingan, he became a full-on battle machine, fast, deadly, and dramatically explosive. Gaara, meanwhile, stood there like a statue in the middle of a sandstorm, letting his sand do all the work. Thanks to Shukaku's chakra, his sand defense was almost unbeatable. But here's the catch, that ultimate defense? It roots him to the spot. He literally can't move. And Sasuke noticed. So while Gaara played tower defense, Sasuke went full-on assassin mode. He zipped around, looking for an opening, and when he couldn't find one, he made one. He ran up the wall, charged his Chidori with thunder cracking around him like an anime rock concert, and launched himself at Gaara's sand sphere like a missile. And he actually broke through. First blood. For the first time in his life, Gaara, the walking coffin, got hurt. But this wasn't just a power clash, it was a full-blown emotional breakdown disguised as a ninja battle. Sasuke fought for his ruined past, for revenge, for a family taken too soon. Gaara fought because he didn't know if he even existed without pain, because loneliness had rewired him to think that blood equals meaning. Let's be real, both of them kind of wanted to kill someone. And honestly, we were one Chidori away from the freaking one-tail busting loose. It was epic, it was heavy, and it was beautifully violent. But because the fight didn't get to finish properly, I can't rank it any higher, no matter how god-tier that Chidori scene was. First, Gaara versus Rock Lee. No one can argue that this fight deserves to be at the top, I'm sure of it. No need for backstories here, just raw power and pure iconic moments. We have two worlds, two philosophies. Gaara is the embodiment of raw, innate power, with chakra from Shukaku, the one-tailed beast, making him almost unstoppable without even moving. His sand shield turns every attack into nothing more than throwing rocks at a mountain. On the other hand, Rock Lee is a unique ninja. No ninjutsu, no genjutsu, just pure taijutsu and a burning heart. In the grand scheme, regular attacks couldn't touch Gaara, until the moment Lee removes his ankle weights, creating two massive craters. That moment was unforgettable. Suddenly, Lee moves faster than Gaara's sand can react. It's the first time Gaara's ever been caught off guard. When Lee opens the 5th gate of the 8 gates and unleashes his hidden lotus attack, The battle reaches an unimaginable peak of both power and emotion. A flurry of motion, a blur of speed and raw force, like the very wind was torn apart by his strikes. Gaara is pushed into a defensive stance. If you weren't paying attention, even Kakashi activates his Sharingan to track Lee's movements and still couldn't keep up. Everyone watching was left in shock. No one had expected this. Unfortunately, Gaara survives the Hidden Lotus and uses his sand to crush Lee's arms and legs. Lee sacrificed everything for that victory, yet lost in the most brutal way. That's one of the reasons this fight is legendary. It doesn't end in a glorious victory for Lee, but in the most heartbreaking defeat. But after all that, they later become friends, and that's a miracle in itself. And as you can see, persistence, effort, and believing in yourself can create moments that go down in history, even if the outcome is failure. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.